Shalom. Kol Holo Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, Bahashem, Rahaha Kadash. Double honors to the apostles and elders of Great Millstone. Peace and salutations to the hopeful elect scattered throughout the four corners of the globe. My name is Barad Debal, coming to you from the GMS campus, Indianapolis. And to all those listening and learning, to you, I say Shalom. Especially to you so-called blacks, Hispanics, and Native Indians that make up the 12 tribes of Israel. Today, just scrolling through, just looking, through the spirit of what Yahweh Bashim Yahweh Shai would put on me to do. And I came across this video. Looks like it's Danica, as you can see on there. And says, men are now getting approached by women since men are done. And so that's the spirit, because our head apostles and elders of Great Millstone has been teaching us that this form of stoic, to be stoic, all right, as far as in a short understanding, as far as dealing with being able to deal with hardness, to deal with not having the pleasures of life, to also being able to deal with certain afflictions, okay, and some of these things, the pleasure that men actually desire to have in life would be a woman. And of course, in the process, is becoming a man, being able to actually have control and discipline. And so I say all of that because there has been a shift that's actually going on that the apostles have been speaking on it. The apostles of GMS, the elders, the bishops, those that teach the likewise doctrine. And you're starting to see this change, this transformation. And as you can see, you're starting to see with all the things that's going on in the earth, that there are women who are actually through their spirit or being alarmed with certain things that are happening. Still having that spirit, starting with the so-called black woman, the Hispanic and Native American woman, but starting with the so-called Judite woman who was pushed the ideology and who has pushed the ideology of not needing a man. And you see videos all throughout where they're now have been going to dating sites, or they've gone to dating parties, those little fast dating parties. I forget the name of it, where they go in and they sit at tables, or they meet singles, and they're finding that there's hundreds of women that show up and barely a handful of men, because of the pride of our women, the things in which they were told that they were the prize, the things that which was given unto them as far as the benefits, and whereas the man was actually systematically exiled from society. And when I say the man, I'm talking first and foremost the elect men of the so-called blacks, Hispanics, and Native Indians. But now we're starting to see a transition. And as the women claim to be the prize, or at least that's what Esau Edom has taught them, the serpent, Eve and the serpent, now we see a video, and this is one of many things that I've come across, but this was a little bit more reactive for myself. It says, men are now getting approached by women since men are done. And so as a whole, there's a vibration that's going out. You had the red pill, the blue pill movement. And of course, one that kind outside of the apostles, of course, in our elders, you had Kevin Samuels, who's one who actually spearheaded, this whole manosphere movement, that we call that MAGTOW movement. And so pretty much being able to step up and be men be for themselves, think for themselves. But that all first and foremost came from, again, the spirit of Yahweh Ba'Shem Yahushai, starting with the head apostles and elders of Great Millstone. But yeah, I'm not gonna click on anything. Like I said, I've only listened to like 9 minutes of it, and she had put some very good points in as to, now women are at the point they have the jobs because Esau Edom is giving them the jobs. They have they're set up in pretty decent positions, houses and things like that. But the one thing that they really lack, and they're starting to lack even more, they're starting to lack the attention, and they really lack having a strong man of the Lord. And so I'm just wanted to kind of go through those thoughts for the moment, but I got some scriptures that I want to bring out. This is the book of Isaiah chapter 3, verses 24. Now, when you read 3, it goes into explaining that the women, that there's going to be the daughters of Zion, being haughty, walking with stretched forth necks and wanton eyes. There's going to be a pride that's going to be made low upon the women from their beauty, just from their looks, and eventually they're going to have to, submit themselves and their ideologies and the ideas that they had before. They're going to have to realize that, hey, I need a man. So but I want to jump to verse 24, read it on down and jump into the next verse. It says, next chapter, it says, it shall come to pass that instead of sweet smell, there should be a stink, and instead of a girding, a rent. So, of course, all the beauty and the makeup and the glossing and all these things that a woman could do in this time, eventually they're going to lose all of that, And then, of course, as you can see in today's time, instead of a girding, a rent, they're not as shapely as they used to be. Not going to the gym. It says, and instead of well-set hair, baldness, and many of them, you talk about wanting a real man, but a lot of them have the fake eyelashes and fake hair and fake nails. And instead of a stomacher, a gird of sackcloth. And it says, and instead of and burning instead of beauty, it says, and thy man shall fall by the sword, and thy mighty man in war. So, of course, there's going to be a scarcity of real men, a scarcity of men. Let's just say that, because the real men are going to be, as you're going to find, the men of the Lord. Okay, and so there will be men that women will cleave to, but the real men are going to be the men of the Lord, because in that day, if you don't have Yahweh Ba'Shem Yahushai, you through. Verse 26, it says, and her gates shall lament and mourn, and shall be desolate. And being desolate, she shall sit upon the ground. So pretty much she's going to be made low. It says, and in that day 7 women shall take hold to one man, saying, we will eat our own bread and wear our own apparel. Only let us be called by thy name to take away our reproach. So it's going to come to a point, again, as I looked in that video, this one here, she says, men are now getting approached. It's going to be far, far more when it comes down to the men of the Lord. All right, why is that? Because Yahweh says this. He says in Isaiah 13 and 12, I will make a man more precious than fine gold, even a man than the golden wedge of Ophir is going to be very precious, the men of the Lord. And here's another reason. It says, because of that, a man being more precious than fine gold, an Israelite man, Isaiah 32 and 2, he says, and a man shall be a hiding place from the wind and a covert from the tempest, as rivers of water in a dry place. So when it comes down to just comfort, protection from all the things that are happening, because there's going to be marauders, people out there, and the first ones that'll be taken are women and children, and women will be used for pleasure. We'll just say it that way, and not in their own will. It says, and it'll be against their will. It says, and as rivers of water in a dry place, as a shadow of a great rock in a weary land. So of course, you're going to be with the man of the Lord. You'll be protected because Yahweh Shai is going to protect that man and everyone that's in his house. Micah chapter 7 verse 10. Then she that is my enemy shall see it, and shame shall cover her, which said unto me, where is the Lord thy power? Mine eyes shall behold her. Now shall she be trodden down as a mire in the streets. So there's so you're gonna have some who still don't believe until the very day, and it's gonna be too late. But and they're gonna be trodden down in the streets. But you're gonna have quite a few that's going to realize and try to get right and try to find the man of the Lord and try to submit themselves and get right, you know, and by all means, Yahweh Ba'Shem Yahweh Shai Ba'Shem Rakakwadash, you know, that will be coming soon, because of course this will happen before the kingdom, and we know that these are one of the signs that shows us that we're getting that much closer when these women, along with a lot of others, start to humble themselves. So I hope that this lesson was edifying, uplifting, exhorting of some sort to the elect body of true believers. Before I end, I'd like to give all praise, honor, and glory to Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, Bahashem, Rahahakadash. Double honors to the apostles and elders of Great Millstone. Peace and salutations to the hopeful elect scattered throughout the four corners of the globe. Until next time, all those listening and learning to you, I say, Shalom.